I was wondering if that would happen with Mercury getting ready to go retrograde. I'm sure there will be technical issues that I will be contending with over the next month and a half. Month. Venus opposite Uranus. Number one, somewhere with this future orientation, somewhere relationship and financial concerns of a deeply embedded kind with power struggles and past issues are demanding, they're holding us back from this future orientation. It's not, it's encoded with this full moon, so we will likely continue to process it over the next couple of weeks. It isn't a permanent state of affairs, but it would not surprise me if dealing with, when we talk about Venus, yes, we can talk about the arts, we can talk about luxuries, we can talk about beauty, we can talk about harmony, we can talk about flow, but ultimately in very real, and we can talk about opportunity, but ultimately in very real ways, we're talking about the nexus between relationships and finances. And as I like to say, the quality of our relationships impacts or determines the quality of our abundance. Now, and I think I think that is a true statement. Now, outside of that, when Venus is opposing Uranus, it's as if other considerations, other opportunities where Scorpio sits in your chart are temporary, or more important, I would say, relationship and financial, it's in Scorpio, scorpionic relationship and financial considerations, enmeshments, enmeshments with a spouse, enmeshments with a business partner, enmeshments with, this is not just about you right now and your finances independently, and it's about the fabric that you're sewn into as well. And somewhere those considerations are temporarily staring down the independent future orientation of Uranus. Okay, so we were talking about aspects related to this full moon. It was the final four things 2 months before the eclipse in Taurus on November 19th. Last week and this coming week, pay attention to what is going on, and if you can correlate it to the sign of Taurus in your chart, even better. And where the sign of Taurus sits in your chart, what house it occupies. Number two, it's a full moon in Pisces ruled by Neptune. Very much the theme of this full moon, along with this future orientation, is greater visibility towards, or bringing something uncomfortably and intuitively to our awareness related to past murkiness and deceptiveness and delusionalness or deludedness and gaslightiness that we have been processing for a long time, and that is continuing to demand that it be put to bed. And because we're talking about Neptune, and because Neptune is so slippery, we're having a hard time pinning this down and sorting it out. But it's here. The crap is rising to the surface. Number three, the Sun opposed Neptune on September the 14th. So the past week to 10 days, there's a lot of visibility around this Neptunian crap. We are really processing. We're really able to see, even with the mind's eye, not even the mind's eye, the heart's eye, the intuitive eye. There's a lot that is becoming clearer and clearer and clearer, and perhaps uncomfortably so. When it comes to, and uncomfortably so, that we can figure out where we can take action. And one of the ways in which to take action with Neptune is at least determine and be clear about what your own values are and make a stand on those, because you're not, it's going to be a little bit like pinning jello to a wall. You're not going to know even necessarily who you're fighting or what you're fighting. And so as a result of which, having some sort of a statement or protection that just says, whatever it is that's going on, here's what I know is true. Here are the facts as I know them, can become a form of being clear about what is important to you, what it is that you want to protect, and what it is that you feel you want to state, so that it becomes your shield. Okay? And then the fourth thing that we are in the middle of looking at when the last video got cut off and we're here is, of course, the important transits that are happening at the time of this full moon that are encoded into this full moon over the next couple of weeks. Future orientation based on action, energy, impetus, testosterone, Mars, trine Saturn, long-term commitments, but also, I have a fifth thing I'm going to add to this, long-term commitments, but also taking action in a way that eliminates behaviors, patterns, and boundaries that have not been serving us in the past, trining the North Node. Future orientation, something's beckoning us. It can be discomfort about the present that is letting us know where we are not in alignment and what is possibly blocking our future and what actions we need to take to get into alignment, or it could be opportunities that are starting to pull us into this Taurus part of our chart with these eclipses. Number 2, Mercury trining Jupiter. Nice. But I'm going to focus more on Mercury squaring Pluto, because Mercury is going to do that 3 times. Mercury might trine Jupiter too 3 times with its retrograde, but our thinking and our communication coming up against and challenging sort of Plutonian influences, enmeshments, Scorpionic, Plutonian control games and arenas where we're feeling controlled, where we're controlling, obsessiveness, stalkery behavior. Enough said. If this resonates, this will be quite clear. And then again, kind of playing with this theme with Venus opposing Uranus, Venus being in Scorpio. There is something about relationships and finances and enmeshments, whether it is with spouses, partners, children, relatives, whoever, whatever fabric we're kind of tied in and a thread in. Those considerations temporarily for a couple of weeks are kind of pulling our energy away, or kind of staring down this future independent path that is wanting to become our path over the next 2.5 years. So that's all in the air. One more thing. A lot of the outer planets are retrograde, and Mercury is going to go retrograde. Okay. But by the middle of October, Saturn and Jupiter go direct. Whatever is going on now is not finished. The planets are retrograde, particularly Jupiter and Saturn. And I know that this full moon is in Pisces, and it's in Pisces that wherever the sign of Pisces sits in your chart, whatever that stands for, that is what is under threat. That is what Neptune is dissolving. That is what the murkiness is about. The who is doing it might still concern where Gemini sits in your chart, at least in the second half of this year, which we're being invited to deal with and tackle. But the bulk of the work this year is in the sign of Aquarius and where that sits in your chart with Jupiter and Saturn there. And when these planets are going retrograde, they are bringing back up things that may feel uncomfortable at this present time, but they're bringing them up not for a final resolution, but they're bringing that up so that you can be aware that there are still open items that need to be dealt with. Now, this full moon in Pisces is a really important full moon. I can feel it for my clients. I can feel it for myself. I can feel this energy of the sign of Pisces. And, the sign of Pisces remain, whatever we do with Pisces, with Saturn and Jupiter here this year, but until March 2023, the time for consequences of that, some of these consequences we'll experience next year as Jupiter goes into Pisces. But then when Saturn comes into Pisces in 2023 to 2025, we'll really have to, sign of Pisces, very important place in our chart for a lot of us during this lifetime, pretty much since, the middle of the 2010s, 2014, 15, 16, especially 15, 16, not going away till 2025, 26. The emphasis on it, the story that is here. And so with the Sun opposing Neptune last week and this full moon in Pisces, pay attention to what is coming up, guys. Pay attention. If it's future orientation, great. Act on it, determine what's getting in the way, make decisions based on that. If it's past crap that is really here to be dealt with, again, I can only invite you and exhort you to do what you feel you need to get boundaries, to clear out what needs to be cleared energetically so you can focus on the future. And don't get too frustrated with yourself. And this is why I brought up that 5th item of the planets being retrograde. As the planets go direct, you are going to make some choices and you are going to deal with stuff. But stuff is going to get more encoded in October, November, December. Okay? So it's really important that even if you're being a little bit more retrograde and observant currently, that you're ready to snap into action as the planets start to go direct. And there's no question you're going to, with that Libra new moon on October the 6th or so, October 3rd, 6th, whenever that's happening. Hold on, I'll tell you. October the 6th. It's war between October the 6th and, let's see, when is the Gemini full moon? I'll tell you. I have all the lunations here. December the 18th. It is war. Whether it is a war and action towards the pursuit of future goals, for a lot of us, it is war to sort through the past. And some of the consequences of that continue into February and even into the middle of next year, okay? And because we're talking about Pisces, maybe even into till 2025 or so. I'm going to leave it at this. Lots to think about. Think about it. Think about things. And we'll take it from there. Sometimes you have to harness the energy of, sometimes you have to put on the armor. Sometimes you have to get out the broomstick. Sometimes you've got to clean up. Sometimes you've got to hunt and gather. Sometimes you've got to channel that Mars energy. And it's interesting because this full moon opposes Mars a little bit more broadly than I would like, but within 6 degrees. I mean, I just like to keep things within 5 degrees, but I'm crazy that way. A little bit OCD that way. Find your Mars energy. That male principle that right now is not very fashionable, understandably to some extent, is still there in our charts and in our psyches for a reason. And we're going to be harnessing that. And by the time you get to the new moon in on October the 6th, when the new moon is conjunct Mars, you know, it's time to dust off the axes and the lances and the suit of armor, because the crap with this full moon, the crap that's going to hit the fan is on the surface. Sorry, but that's the analogy that comes to me, and I'm not going to get in the way of whatever it is that's flowing as I do this video. Thanks for watching both my videos if you made it this far, and my contact information is down below if you're interested in rates for readings or whatever, or if you want me to make an easy-to-read version of your chart. Like the video if you liked it, comment on it, share it, subscribe to my YouTube channel, click on the bell icon when you subscribe so you're notified when I do new videos. Thanks for sticking with me. Over and out.